Hello, this is going to be a video on my one skull to rule them all pattern, which as you can see is a skull floating in a square. Cute little guy, hey? The beauty of this is that once you've got one, you can of course tessellate them to create any pattern your heart desires. And I used my little cardboard squares to lay out a couple of ideas, like for example, a top, nice and simple, which you can then pop ties on either side and do up at the back, or you can continue around 4 diamonds on the top, 4 diamonds on the bottom, so this side to that side, and you get a singlet top with your straps going up here. So hugely flexible idea. Anything you can make with a granny square, you can make with this little skull floating in a window. We are going to get started. I'm just going to grab the pattern up. I like to use my Kindle to organize my PDFs because it's easy and I can keep all my patterns in one place. And I'm going to call up the skull square to rule them all. And while I do that, I will tell you about my 4mm hook. Oops, 4mm. I've got some 8-ply cotton here, a nice big ball of it. One finished square only takes between 15 and 20 grams, and that's with a single crochet border around the edge. And the diameter of my square is 7 by 7 inches. Sorry, to be very clear. So if you are using these squares to wrap around your body, you'll need to measure from corner to corner, and then that's going to be the measurement that you use to incorporate your pattern. If you've got a, let's pluck a number out there. Okay, if you've got a 35-inch bust, that's pretty small. 35-inch bust, go with it. And from here to here is 8 inches. You know that 4 squares are going to cover your 35-inch bust, and you'll have 3 inches remaining. Now, you might get the 3 inches with a bit of stretch, or you might want to think about working a row of double crochet around the edge of each square, or using a thicker joining mechanism. I often just single crochet my squares together to join them, but these are considerations that you take into account when you make your finished product. If you're using them to make a bag, pretty easy. Just tessellate them out and you can single crochet to your heart's delight. So I've got my pattern ready. Skull square. I'll just tip it around so that I can navigate. And we're going to start. Swipe across to the first page where you are asked to chain 7. So I don't need too much of an end. It's just going to get worked into my border later on. Starting with my loop, hook in, chain 7, and you don't want these starting chains to be too tight because they're going to form the outside of your square. 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I'm leaving them a little bit kind of slack, I guess. DC into the first loop of your chain. So yarn over, find the first loop of your chain, and work 1 double crochet. There we go. There's your little loop to start in. This is going to be edge of the square, and this is the space we're working into. Chain 3 and turn. All right, work 6 double crochet in the chain space. Let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I consider this to count for 7 double crochet in total. Your chain 3 is always going to stand in for your first double crochet of any row. So now I've got a total of 7 double crochet across. Chain 3 and turn. 1, 2, 3. Work 2 double crochet into the first DC. 1 and 2. And you can see that that's worked right into the first loop of the line. So it's not worked into the next stitch, it's in the first double crochet when I've turned. Chain 3, 2 double crochet into the first DC. Let's keep going. Skip the next 2 double crochet, 1, 2, and work 3 DC in the next stitch. 1, 2, 3. With a bit of messing around, I just found that this really sat nice and flat and gave me the desired effect. Skip the next 2 double crochet and work 3 double crochet in the last double crochet. So skip this 1 and this 2, and you work 3 in here. You can be fussy and work into the 3rd chain. I am not bothering to do that because I'm going to put a border around my square anyway, and that pulls everything nice and tight, and it stops any bunching or kind of looping that occurs. Okay, so right now while you're working, you'll get a bit of a lumpy edge, but when you go across and put your 3 DC in every 3 single crochet in every DC or chain 3, that all evens out. So I don't bother with the extra hassle over here. You now have 9 double crochet in that row. Chain 3 and turn. As always, work 2 more double crochet into the first. So it looks like you've got 3 in that first stitch. That's how you get your increase, and it's a pretty popular technique for a lot of granny squares and shawls, and similarly worked back side to side patterns. 1 in each double crochet across the row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Work 3 double crochet into the last DC. Uh-oh, yarn vomit. Sometimes happens when you're pulling from the center, hey? Not the best. All right, 3 into my last. 1, 2, 3. Ta-da! Let me just check my count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, hold on, I should have 13. I've missed one, sorry. I missed that DC just there. I had to put 1 into that guy. And then, here come my last 3. 2, 3. All right. You now have 13 double crochet across. Chain 3 and turn. 1, 2, 3. Work 2 more DC into this first, and then 1 into each of the next 4. So I put in 1 here, 2, 3, 4. Chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and skip the next 3 double crochet. 1, 2, 3. Don't work into those guys. Yarn over. Whoop. Hold the tension on your hook so it doesn't get loose and bubbly, and work into the next. There we go. We're going to put 3 more, I should say. I've got 1. Add 3 to the 1. That makes 4. 2, 3, 4. And now, as usual, work 3 double crochet in the last stitch. Move because my knee's cramping horribly. 1, 2, and 3. Which gives you 7 double crochet, 8 chain, 7 double crochet. Don't worry about this sitting funny. It's not going to sit like this with the chain spread flat. This is going to get pulled up into the next row. So don't stress because it's not square at this point. That's supposed to be like that. Ugh. Yarn vomit. All right, chain 3 and turn. You knew I was saying that. Work 2 more DC in the first. That's my dog. You can hear snoring in the background. He's sitting right beside me. Very important to be close while I'm crocheting. 1 DC in each of the next 3. 1, 2, 3. Now you're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and single crochet into the middle of the chain 8 space. So kind of try and aim for the middle so you don't have to fudge up your stitches too much. Now put another single crochet in the same space. Woohoo! There we go. I've got 2 single crochet in the middle as much as you can. Saves you messing around later on. And then we're just going to chain 4 again. Skip the next 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, yarn over, work into that 4th stitch, 2 more DC, and 3 in the last, just like always. Oh, Monty, really? He's a French bulldog, so he's a brachyphiliac breed with a short nose, and yeah, the snoring can be something to behold. It's a bit amazing sometimes. All right, chain 3 and 10. Ah, guess what? 2 more into the first. 1 DC in each of the next 2. 1, 2, chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you're going to put 2 single crochet into this first space here, and they're going to get snuggled up next to the 2 you've already worked in the previous row. 1, 2. Now 2 single crochet, my bad, into the next 2 single crochet you've already worked in the previous row. Okay, so you're building a little block of single crochet. Now put 2 more single crochet into the next space. Just done a half double by accident. Whoops-a-daisy. There we go. 1, 2. Move them over so they kind of sit close to the other guys. And then we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skip over the next 3 double crochet, and then work 2 into the next 2 double crochet, and here's my old faithful trusty chain 3 space, 3 into that guy, all right. Don't worry, just as soon as you have the hang of this increasing, I promise that we will start decreasing, and that will be very exciting. Chain 3. Turn your work. 2 into the first. Oops, there we go. 1 in the next 3. So you're going to put 1 DC here, 1 DC here, 1 DC here. Chain 6. So you ignore that last one, okay? Like we've been ignoring a couple as we work our motif. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're going to single crochet into this gap again. Except we're not. Hang on. Let me look at this. What am I doing? Well, no, we're going to DC. Sorry. This is different from my usual skull pattern. I changed the motif a little so it would sit better in the square shape, and I still haven't quite gotten the hang of it. 1 DC in the first, yeah, 1. Now put 1 DC in the second, 2 DC in the third, that's this guy, 1 DC in, 2 in the same stitch. I've got my little bit of flare going on there, 1, 1, 2. Now put 2 DC into the next single crochet, and then 1 into the next single crochet and 1 into the next single crochet. So if you've done any of my other skull patterns, you'll know this is not normal. We usually work the skull all in single crochet, but this square is different to make it a better square shape and to get it to sit properly, because bunching drives me nuts. Alrighty, we are ready to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Skip the next 2 double crochet. Hold on, does that mean I've made a mistake? Oh, fudge. Guess what, guys? I've got to go back and rip that round out. I put an extra DC in. Hold on. Here's my 3. Then I do 2. Then I skip 2. If you're following along with my pattern, you could have told me that. You've probably been yelling at me for the last 5 minutes. Go back. You got it wrong. All right. Let me just fix this up. 1 in the first. 1 in the second. 2 in the next. 2 in the next. 1 and 1. The best thing about crochet is that it's not a total tragedy, right? I mean, it is if you spot the mistake 6 rows back. That's a tragedy. But quite often, especially with a pattern like this, you'll spot the mistake on the next row because the maths won't work out. Skip the first 2. DC, DC, and 3. So don't get too stressed. You can always just rip it back a row. You just watched me do it. No one cried. I may have sworn a little bit inside my head because it's embarrassing to mess up, but everyone makes mistakes. All right. So I've started to make the kind of taper for the forehead of my skull, which you can see on this guy. So we get that nice round shape there. Chain 3 and turn. 2 DC in the first. DC in the next. 1 and 2. I just have to check my maths. This is a spot where we are going to work 1 more in here, and then we only skip over 1 DC. Okay, so I've just worked my 3 and then 3 singles. I'm leaving this guy alone. I don't want to work into that. I'm going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to work my 2 double crochet into this first DC in the forehead. One. Oh, my cotton split. 2. Okay. 1 DC in the next. 1 DC in the next. 2 DC in the fourth. 2 DC in the fifth. 1 in the sixth. 1 in the seventh. 2 in the eighth. And again, this is just the best way that I could get a nice curve and increase that doesn't bunch. So I'm spreading my increases around. I'm not cramming them all into one spot so I get a curve or a ripple. Chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Skip over the next double crochet of the row. So skip this guy and then 1, 2, 3. Find that loop to work into. Make sure you don't skip it. And now 3 into the last, like always. Okay. And you can see we're starting to get a recognizable square shape going on. Exciting times. Okay, the next row is going to be a little bit of a roller coaster, literally. We're going to make this curve in here, which we do with stitches of different height. So keep your listening ears plugged in. We are going to chain 3 and turn. 1, 2, 3. Work 2 more into the first, like always. Okay. Now we're going to put 1 DC in the next 4. 1, 1, 1, 1. Chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ignore that spare one, you don't need to know about it. But now we're going to work a double crochet in the first stitch, a half double crochet in the next stitch, so it's a little shorter in height, a single crochet in the next stitch, another single crochet, half double, double crochet. And that's how we make the curve for the top of the eye socket. Chain 1. Now we're going to work a double crochet into the next stitch. So we don't skip anything, we just chain 1 to give ourselves a little bit of space, and then double crochet here. So I've got my little nose spot there happening. Half double crochet in the next stitch, single crochet in the next stitch, single crochet in the next stitch, half double crochet, and double crochet. And you can see that by changing the height of the stitches, I've built myself that little curvature. All right, let's chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Skip the next double crochet and then work 1 in each until you get to your last where you put 3, like always. 3, 4, last 3. All right, now at this point you have just reached the halfway of your square, so feel free to do a bit of tugging into position here. You'll often find your chain 3 will lengthen as you pull on it, so those edges will straighten out a heap. So don't stress if they're a bit bunchy. Again, everything comes good at the end when you work around and put your 3 single crochet in each space. Now we are ready to decrease, so we're going to change up what we do at the start of every row.